Is this not the most beautiful sight? Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Candace, and this year I put in a very large no-dig, no-till cut flower garden, and we are in the process of putting in raised beds for our vegetables. We are going to attempt to sell fruits, vegetables, and cut flowers from our property. And I wanted to give you a quick update on all of my seedlings. And of course, there is a train coming because this is the perfect time to film when the sun has just set. Everything looks perfect and the train comes at this exact time every day. These are my seedlings that are in the process of hardening off. A few containers. We've got some strawberries, we've got some hydrangeas, and a couple of things that still need to go in the landscape. But for the most part, these are my containers. I'm sorry, these are my seedlings. These over here are all the ones that have finished hardening off and are just waiting to go in the ground. And then these right here are ones that are not yet fully hardened off. Well, this isn't including the ones that I have in the house that aren't ready yet. One thing I did differently since I'm growing so many things this year is I succession planted everything. And now there are a lot of things in the grow room that are ready, but I'm not bringing them out and hardening them off yet, because then that's going to be more trays that I have to bring in the garage and back out every day, because I think we're done with all the frosty nights. But I also don't want them to get rained on, because as you know, with seedlings and seed starting mix, rain is just going to like splash all of that seed starting mix out. And yeah, and it also, even if it's not getting freezing, it's you have more of a chance of things getting diseases if it's still cold and under about 50 degrees. So I don't want to bring everything out here and harden it off and then have to bring them in and out every day. So I'm keeping the things inside until I get most of this stuff planted, and then I'll start to harden those things off. Just a quick little recap of some of the things I'm growing for the cut flower garden. We've got zinnias, cosmos, bachelor buttons, nasturtiums, basil, baby's breath, feverfew, stock, bells of Ireland, frosted explosion grass, honeywort, celosia, amaranth, straw flowers, scabiosa, starflowers. I'm going to be growing the blue ones from Floret. You wait until those create their seed pod and it looks a little bit different than scabiosa type bloom. And then we've got salvia, and then we've got red mahogany hibiscus, we've got love and a puff vine, love and a mist, dill, dusty miller, we've got Lizzie Anthous, snapdragons. Something's going on with my honeywort. It started out spotted on the lower leaves, and it looked like something like a pest, either thrips or something, was doing it. And then I started seeing these little white spots that looked like maybe spider mite damage. And then now they've just gotten really yellow and are turning brown. So I'm hoping it's not like, it kind of looks like what I get on my watermelons and cantaloupe, like verticulum wilt or fusarium wilt. So I don't know. I also thought that this was a problem. There's like white bumps. But I've looked on a lot of other people's like blogs and YouTube videos, and they have that also. So I think that's supposed to be like that. However, the yellowing and the brown, I don't think should be like that. And then if you're wondering, I had planted some lettuce and kale and things in here, and I forgot that I still had gladiolus bulbs in there from last year. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. And then we've got this beautiful lettuce and kale red Russian kale. This is my first time growing that. That's so beautiful. And then my lemon scented gum eucalyptus that smells amazing. And then we've got some Cutflower kale. You let these, oh, that smells so good, just touching it, just barely. You let these grow really tall and you continue to remove the lower leaves, and it creates a really long stem for you to use in bouquets. And then we've got dahlias over there. The ones in that tray there are from bulbs, tubers that I purchased, and all of these are the ones that I posted the video of starting from seed, from Floret Farms Dahlia seeds. Every single one of these, and they're almost as big as the ones that I started from tubers already. So that is amazing. A few of them did get some frost damage. One night I left them out here. I got distracted by my 2-year-old. So I did have to remove a lot of the leaves that were really damaged. But very, very happy with those. All right, now let's go look at the Cutflower gardens. So here is a wide angle view for you. I really wish we could have put our fence up this year so that we didn't have so much of that building to look at, but oh well. We wanted to wait until this summer, and then with the prices of wood going up, I'm not paying those prices unless it stays that way. But we're gonna try to wait until prices hopefully go down. So see all these little helicopters? I'll add in a clip that I took the other day. It was horrible. I hate helicopters. Look at this. And I was just about to put down landscape fabric to prevent weed seeds from blowing in until I got this Cutflower garden planted up. And I was a little too late. There's so many. That's gonna turn into so many weeds. Yeah, so I came out here with the leaf blower, but that didn't work. So I basically just took my metal rake and raked up. There was like a big dip right there. So it doesn't look like a big pile, but it actually is, of all of the helicopters, along with a lot of the wood chippy pieces. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that, because I wanted all of those wood chip like pieces to be kind of like mulch for the walkways. So haven't figured that out yet, but and then I was going to put landscape fabric down so that whenever my husband cuts the grass, I don't have grass flying in that could have weed seeds on it, because I am already starting to have a lot of weeds popping up. So I was going to put the landscape fabric down just until I get this area planted up. I don't feel like cutting holes in it and trying to plant in the holes. I feel like that's just going to be too big of a headache, and I also don't really like the look of that. So I'm going to cover it up with landscape fabric after I get all the helicopters out, and I'm just going to leave that there until I'm ready to plant. So if I plant up, you know, like a 4 or 6 foot section, then I'll just like roll it back and or cut that section off, and that way hopefully it'll keep the weeds down. So here is where I had planted some zinnias, but they got bit by the frost. This one actually is doing quite well, but all these others, oh wow, look at the roots on that. All those others got damaged pretty bad, so I'm gonna just pull those out. So I went through and seeded a bunch of the zinnias. I still have some more to seed. Then we got some sweet peas, and they will grow up this cattle panel trellis. My husband stuck those 2 stakes just to kind of stabilize the top there because it was, you know, not very sturdy. So I don't like the look of that, but the sweet peas should cover that up in no time. And then I've got some sweet peas on this side. And then I finally got all the snapdragons planted. I did have, you know, quite a number of them didn't germinate, so that's why I have extra space, because even though I seeded extra, I still ended up a little short, but that's okay. We'll throw something else in there. Those two, one thing I don't like about seeds that you don't cover is sometimes their roots have trouble like going down, and it will cause this. So this front bed, as you can see, is going to be all zinnias and snapdragons. The next bed is going to be fillers, and I will go around and get closer. So down here is where I started planting in this bed. I don't know what I was thinking, but I started some dill like 13 weeks before my last frost. And so they got extremely root bound in their little containers, and so yeah, they had a lot of transplant shock, and all of this was like really red and orange and like just looked really bad. It didn't look dead like these two do. It was just really red. It's greened up really nice now. I just love that. I think that's going to be a beautiful texture in bouquets. And then next we have some bishop's flower. And then we have our crane red and our crane white Cutflower kale looking beautiful. And then I came through and transplanted some very tiny baby dusty millers, and then I forgot. And then I came through and was like raking some more compost on this bed, and I killed all of them except for these two. Whoops. And then we have some feverfew. I just transplanted yesterday. We've got some baby's breath. We've got love in a mist. And then some, I don't know if this is, I think this is bunny tails grass. I've got bunny tails grass and frosted explosion grass, but I'm pretty sure this is the bunny tails grass. And then that's all we got so far in the annual Cutflower garden. Now we will take a look at the perennial Cutflower garden. Well, really quickly, let me show you so far I just have 2 raised beds for the vegetables, but we will have 2 more right there. Eventually we'll have 8, but for just this year, I think we're just going to do the 4. I just planted these a few days ago, and these had a little red tinge to them, but not a whole lot, kind of more like this, and they have just exploded in color, and I just love it. The reddish purple against that green leaf is just so beautiful. So I've got this bed is going to be like my purple bed. I've got purple sprouting broccoli, some purple peppers, what else? The purplish reddish lettuce. I've got some purple flowers I'm going to put in here. I've got purple dragon tongue bush beans. I've got some reddish purple peas, all kinds of different purple things that we will have in this bed. And then there will be some other things that aren't purple, like the marigolds to try to repel some pests. Those are whites, yellows, and oranges. And then the zinnias, that was just a mix of a zinnia that only gets to about 16 inches. So those will be different colors, but and then that's just some broccoli that needs transplanted. And then here is the Lizzie Anthous and Ranunculus bed, which this is the perennial Cutflower garden. These aren't perennials, but I went ahead and put those over here. The Ranunculus got very transplant shocked. I started them too early. I didn't know how they were going to do. I was scared that if I didn't get them started really early that it would get too hot, because our springs get really hot really quick, and started them too soon. They got really, really root bound in the trays. I had to like rip their roots apart from each other. So a lot of them suffered. But some of them are still looking okay, and they look like they are about to send up some blooms. I've only got, I think, 3 blooms from these so far, and they've been in here for quite a while, so it's probably not going to be a very productive year for the ranunculus. But I'm so excited for next year because I ordered a ton of the Italian ranunculus. And then here we have some Lizzie Anthous. If you want to look back at my videos starting these, I talk about how I started them and what varieties I have. These, they stay really short for a really long time. They spend a lot of their energy producing roots, and then they will start to put up vertical growth. They've just very recently started getting a little bit taller on a few of them, but these have been planted for, I want to say, almost 2 months. I'll put the date up on the screen. And they're only maybe a ½ inch taller than they were when I planted them. And then this is where all of the dahlias are going to go. And then this is the tulips, the daffodils, the carnations, the peonies, the iris, and then also threw some zinnias in on either side of the daffodils because they're done now, and I didn't have a plan for this center area. But as you can see, I had tulips on either side, and now that they are pretty much done for, we've got the carnations that I transplanted about a month ago that can take over now. I'll let these tulips foliage die back a little, and I will, after they die back a little, I will cut the greenery off and probably pull the bulbs and maybe try to save them and put them just like in containers and stuff next year, where it doesn't really matter if there's a lot of them that don't make it. But as far as the cut flower garden for next year, I will plant all new fresh bulbs, because if you cut them down to ground level like you're supposed to for a really long stem, then they most likely won't come back. But as you can see, I had some that I didn't have customers for them, so I didn't cut them. I just let them stay out here and be pretty. And so I didn't cut those as far down. I just let them, have that to die back, and, they may have enough energy to recharge that bulb for next year. But if you cut them down too far and they don't have enough energy to like put back into that bulb, then they won't come back next year. And then we've got our peonies doing beautiful. I am so happy with these. Every single one of them came up. The ones on this left side here are the ones from Eden Brothers, which I'm a lot happier with those. You can see the ones on the other side I planted at the same time. Those are from Dutch Bulbs, and those were some very sad looking peony roots. But I did contact them, and they did issue me a refund, because they were supposed to be, I think, 2 to 3 eye peonies, and almost all of them were either broken or they only had like an inch worth of root. They didn't have but maybe one eye. Some of them didn't have any eyes, but they did come up. So, I mean, I'm happy about that. Let's see what else. The carnations, the daffodils are done. We've got the zinnias. Oh, I've got a few iris here going down the center. My neighbor just gave me a few, so I just stuck those there. And then I stuck some broccoli in here, and some, no, I didn't put Brussels sprouts. Yes, some Brussels sprouts and some broccoli, just because I had some broccoli and Brussels sprouts in here last year, and I had this big blank spot, and I didn't want to take up too much of my vegetable garden because those take a really long time to produce, and I only am going to have 4 little raised beds, so I figured I would just stick them here because I still have plenty of room to get around. And then I had some volunteer sunflowers that popped up. They popped up randomly, but I plopped them out and put them along the edges. But that's it for all of the cut flowers. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see all of these beautiful flowers blooming here in a couple months. But I will talk to you guys in the next one.